So welcome tonight. Our guest is the one, the only, the amazing and incredible, lovely lady. I had the pleasure of being a guest on her show last week, and so I've invited her today. I want to welcome Taposhri Ganguly. She's an eternal student of light and a product of its experiences. She's a trained statistician by profession. She's a smart lady, and her work involves building human behavioral models. Taposhri's interest and foray into Theosophy was an interesting one. After silencing and rationalizing experiences for a long time, a regular Kundalini practice led her into a chance meeting or chance meetings with individuals who made her accept that talking about awakening is as natural and normal as breathing. And working for humanity is her deep-rooted passion. And she aims to serve humanity until the very end of her life. She no longer feels shy or reluctant to talk, and she accepts herself where she is. And we're so grateful to have you. Welcome, Taps. Welcome, sweetheart.
Thank you. I'm super excited and super happy to be here.
I'm grateful that you're here too. I want to make sure that I can pop over on this video, and if we got any comments, hi, welcome everybody, welcome. I wanted to also remind you that this episode of Living Theosophy Sunday Night Live is brought to you in collaboration with the Theosophical Society headquarters in London, England. And if you want more information, I will include a link down below. Please visit their website, and I highly recommend the higher diploma course and the regular diploma course. I took that in 2014, and Taps is nodding as well. They are priceless. He's teaching
the diploma one.
You did?
I am on it now as we speak.
Are you on the first one, on the first diploma course? How do you like it?
I love it. It's like a tick box to many experiences of mine. So I'm like home.
Oh, bless you. See, now that is a testimonial. Thank you very much. Really quick, if you want to go and find out more information for yourself about these diploma courses, they have the first diploma course and a higher diploma course. They happen every year. The costs are ridiculously affordable. They are only to cover costs, and what you gain is absolutely priceless. So they can be taken online anywhere in the world. And again, that is the Theosophical Society headquarters out of London, England. For more information, please click the link below. So Taps, welcome, welcome, sweetheart. I wanted to, I know that we're now in, I don't even know what the week is, where we week 9, 10 in our lockdown, and we're seeing the world is evolving and changing, and people are having to do things they've never done before. Comfort zones are being, pushed. We're coming online, like your website, which I will include a link to her website down below. It is with a soft TH, DHI, which is a Sanskrit word. You told me that means wisdom. Could you explain a little bit more about D?
Yeah, so Dhi pretty much is like, it's a Hindu thought, Sanskrit word, as you said. So it means wisdom, it means intellect, it means thought. It's also used in speech. So it's pretty much like, how you speak, and your speech is it's called vakya. So the words, it's like a Sanskrit word. So it encompasses everything that is intellect, that is to do with your buddhi, as you call it, in Sanskrit. So pretty much that. So when I started this, the whole idea was one of my maternal uncles actually gave me this word, Dhi. So I thought, when I do something other than statistics, I would use this word. I would name it Dhi. So that was like the fun part of naming it Dhi. And the whole idea was to connect people. Now, connect people in thought. Now, connecting people has got different things. Materialistically, you can also connect people. But that is not what I really want to do. So I thought, I'm going to connect people in thoughts, in experiences. And that is why I called it Dhi. And I started bringing in people and guests, like you were a guest last week. And
awesome. Fantastic experience. Thank you.
And other guests who have experiences of life a little extra than the ordinary, and who are not shy to share those experiences. You don't have to believe them on the face value, right? But you take those experiences and you experience it yourself in your own way. So it's like so I bring in different containers, if you like, right? And each container gives you something. Now you, as a listener, you pick, and you are going to pick and choose which one really appeals to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? And sometimes sometimes some experiences might not appeal to you at all, because you would be like, oh, no, this is completely wrong. This doesn't appeal to me. And it's fine, because that is dependent on your body, your soul. Why are you here on planet Earth to start with, right? So all those things come into play. But the idea is just put it all together, bring it all together, and see what you want.
So you're bringing in people. How are you finding your guests? And what is the...
Yeah,
what's that? I was just going to say, I just wanted to make sure they know the name of the show that's on D, and I will include a link to the Facebook page, D Enlightenment, and I hope I'm saying D, I think is with a soft TH, DHI. The name of the show again is The Extra of the Ordinary, correct?
That is the series I did, The Extra of the Ordinary. So now I want to, because the series has got like the 10 episodes, we're going to compile it all by the end of May, and then we're going to start a new series where I'm going to go a little bit more deeper. So all we have seen is, like, even when you were a guest, we literally touched on the surface of things, right? We literally got an overview, right, of you as a person and as your experiences. Now it's like in the next series, the plan is to uncover those containers a little bit more deep, like a little bit more, like go a little deeper into them. Like, what exactly did this transform? How do you do this? Because when people hear it from people directly, they connect because they want to do it. Those that are interested, not everyone wants to do everything, but those that are interested and curious do get an idea that, okay, it's not that impossible, it's not that daunting, it's something very achievable, something that I want to become. And sometimes you just are there as a guest and you talk, and someone who's watching you wants to be you, and they don't know why, but there is a connection somewhere. So that's what we're going to tap into. That's
a brilliant idea, because everybody has, they're wired differently. We're all the same as far as we're all one, but all of us see things differently. And that's one of the reasons why, as far as this show, it doesn't have to be an academic theosophist. It doesn't have to be anybody other than people that have these compassionate hearts that understand that these teachings resonate with them and they feel their importance. I would like to invite everyone to come on to share their experience, because somewhere out there's going to be somebody on that vibration and they're going to go, that makes sense to me. I'd like to find out more. So when people ask about this show, I say it's simply it's like a signpost that says, hey, look here, because there's a lot of amazing things that can take place in your life. If you've been looking for this, I wish I would have known sooner, but I don't think I was supposed to until it actually took place. Yeah. So I was going to ask about the statistician part of you. That is a very mathematical, science-based thinking. I was going to ask, how does that feel when you're thinking of these spiritual concepts? How do these, like there's a left brain and a right brain, how do you combine these two with this logical thinking and then this everything from the cosmos to the ever-expanding universe to, I mean, because life is math. I mean, that's your specialty. It is the music, this harmony. How do you combine these two, the left and right?
My philosophy is neti neti. So that's my philosophy. That's where I come from. Neti neti, not this, not this.
Oh, not this, not this. Okay, yes.
So that's my philosophy. So that's the analytical bit. And that's exactly how I have been ever since I was a child. So I gather experiences, and then it's pretty much like, this is not me. This is not me. This is not me. So what is me, right? And that is my spiritual path and the journey. Now, statistics as a discipline has a philosophy of induction, right? It's a problem of induction. So you gather evidences to provide an inference, right? And you go on gathering inferences. So today, like after having my PhD and studying through all this, I understand the reason why I ended up in statistics is because it's also the same process of spirituality.
That is really?
Yeah. So really? So every discipline, the more you go into the discipline, it gets you into a philosophical paradigm, right? And that philosophical paradigm is up to you as to how you interpret it. Some would interpret it literally bookish, the way it's written in textbooks. Yes. But for because I have worked with statistics in different other disciplines, from neurology to finance to different other disciplines. I know that the basic principles are the same. And it's exactly the same in spirituality. The basic principles like Theosophy, right? It's exactly the same. It's how you apply it. So where is the difference? There is actually no difference. One I do because it gets me the money to live.
Yeah, you have to chop wood and carry water. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I have to do that, and I'm trained in that. And the other one is finding patterns and experiences and then negating it to actually find the true me, the true I. Like, what is I? Like, you peel off, right? So where at one end I peel off with he and everything, I'm like, that is even the experiences that you are experiencing them as a perceiver, right? The perceiver is also not you. The perceiver is not you as well. But you have to go through the grind to sort of keep peeling off and go, where am I? With statistics, it's exactly the same. The patterns, gather evidences, look for the inference, give your model, make money.
And so with the other, it would be on your spiritual journey, you apply that same philosophy to through the application. So here's you have a PhD in statistics, correct? Yes. So here you are. Now this is a very deep thinker and an analytical thinker. You have come to Theosophy and you find that this ticks this box of what you are rather than the not me, which I find very interesting that you're looking at that. That's not me, that's not me, that's not me. Before we talk about Theosophy, could you explain a little bit about the that's not me, that's not me? You called it nati. What is it? Neti. Okay, could you explain that for me and for our viewers?
Yeah, so basically it started off as a kid. So when I was a small child, I used to say like, oh, I'm sort of, I go to class 1 and then I go to class 2. The person in class 1 was also me. Class 2 was like, how is it that I'm expanding? I'm not staying the same, right?
Yes.
It's changing. I'm changing. My body is changing. My thoughts are changing. My books are changing. Everything is changing. So clearly I am not constant, right? I am changing.
Yes.
So now what is I? Is the I, the body that is named, that was brought on this earth, that is named, is that body me? Is the person who's going to that particular class, is that me? So these were the questions I started. And then I'm like, that's not me. That can't be me, because I'm going to leave that class after the year and then go into another one. So then I'm going to stay there, right? So that's not constant. That can't be me. So what is me? Now there is something, right? And this journey took me on to, so this was on with education, with everything. And I was like, why do nobody teaches like what remains after you get rid of everything? Because when you're born, right, when I was born, I was clearly not, like I grew up to understand that I'm not my mother, I'm not my father, I'm not the teachers, I'm not the books. These are the things that I got to learn. So I took a long time, like everyone else, to develop that I, right? Which is clearly not me, because they are all materials, right?
Yes.
And I was like, I have to go back now to uncover the consciousness from the I. So it's like I develop the ego, then I have to go back. So it's like a back and forth, cycle sort of a process.
And you started this when you were in elementary school or early on?
Yeah, I always had this. I had this question with my mother as well. Like, this is not me. And people would be like, how weird are you?
I don't think you're weird. I think you're wonderful. So you actually told them, this is what you're thinking of. This is not me. This is not me. This is not me.
I think apart from, to be very honest, apart from my mother, my father, my maternal grandmother, and one of my maternal uncles, nobody really took me seriously. People would be like, oh, she's just, I think at some point they were worried about what will I do with my life.
Well, it sounds like you came in with this knowledge, this quest to go ahead and find out who you truly are. And I don't know how many people on the planet. I mean, if you come across this video, the year is 2020, we're going through the coronavirus shutdown. There is an evolution and a kind of a connection going on. People are connecting all over the world. Whenever you come across this, it's interesting to see. Some people, I didn't find this till later on in life. And some people come in and they're hungry to find out more information. And it sounds like You found it. And
I found it. And also the interesting part with my life is like I have been connected to sources, just that I took a long time, and I do take a long time in reacting, you know. I take my
really,
own time in reacting, and because I believe that time has its own way of manifesting things, and you know, so I believe in that completely, which is why I say I'm a product of these experiences. So Theosophy, 5 years ago, I was on a flight to San Francisco from London, and it's a long flight. And my co-passenger started chatting to me about Waldorf schools and how he's a teacher at one of the Waldorf schools in California. And that's the first time I heard of Rudolf Steiner. And I didn't know who he was. So I went on, I ordered some books, and those books are with a friend because I had to gift them away. And I had no gifts for her, but then she was like, "You haven't got me a gift." And I'm like, "Okay, here are the books, take them." so I didn't even read the books. But then Steiner kept appearing. 3 times I have sort of like interacted with individuals who have led me on to Steiner. And all the 3 times I've just been like, oh yeah, I'm going to do something about this. I have to work on it or meditate or something. I don't know what, you know, things like that. And then from Steiner came Blavatsky, so came HPB.
I understand.
It was that connection where I was like, oh my God, this is home. Now, who is she? You know, I had no idea.
Oh, you've said that twice in this interview, and I apologize for interjecting, but you have mentioned when you feel that you're studying, and it's not about an intellectual study. Now, Taps is a very smart woman, incredibly intelligent as far as intellect and academic studies go. When you get to these teachings, it doesn't matter where you are as far as you know, you don't have to have a PhD. It's wonderful that you do, and you still find these extremely attractive, and they resonate with you, and they make sense. When you say it's home, you finally come home, I understand what you're talking about, because I was like, where has this been all of my life? Finally, I have found it. Could you explain, before you go on to the next subject, why you choose that word home? That is a beautiful way to describe these teachings. Would you mind expanding on that?
I'd love it. I would definitely explain that, because it's something so passionately I'm driven towards explaining to people what it feels like to come home. The fact is that you go through this entire grind, you know, and you meet and you have these connections. You have the material world going, you know, around you all the time. Everything's happening. But you have the spiritual plane where you are and you're experiencing things, right? Now, you don't know, because experiences are too personal, right? So you don't know if it is correct, if it is incorrect, if you're dreaming, or if you're really like delusional about it, or is it really happening? And then you sometimes things materialize. They also don't materialize because you're in an astral plane, which I know now because I've read it. So it's pretty much like, you know, when you do a thesis, again, because I come from that long background of academia, when you write a thesis, you either read several things and you find a gap and you contribute to the gap, or you know a gap, you know that this is the purpose, you know that this is the thing, but then you read around to find evidence to support it, right?
Yes.
And that evidence is only provided in the secret doctrine, which is right next to you.
There it is. Yep. And you got to get the verbatim edition if you are going to go out and get it. It is. And now, as an academic, taking a look at this book with all the metaphysics, with the science, with the religion, with the philosophy in it, it taken in, if you're going to study it as an academic book with the intellect, it is daunting, it is overwhelming, but there's layers to this. There's different layers when you put them into application in these pieces that you take out. And there are other texts that you can supplement if you don't want to start with that. I think Luke Ironside said he read it when he was 15, made no sense, but he knew that there was something in there. So you keep trying to find the text. There's The Voice of the Silence, Light on the Path. These other texts, these are written down by HPB. This is written down by Mabel Collins. These are the sacred texts. They are the mysteries, if you will. They're not created by these authors. They have been around since the beginning of time. You can go back to, we say this all the time, you go back to ancient Egypt, you go into Greece, you go into the Druids, you go in through the alchemists, the Kabbalists, all of them, they're talking about this same thing, the Alexandrian philosophers. So when you say home, when you talk about this particular text, how would you describe it to someone who's just watching this video and they go, I want to feel what she feels? about this teaching? What makes her call it home? If you were to sum that up in one sentence, what would that be?
See, then there is this caveat. You need to experience things before you read the secret doctrine. So there is this big, huge caveat. For me, it feels home because, I have been a wanderer, like a traveler looking around and had all these experiences. So when I come to that book, for me, it's like, okay, yes, I exactly know what she's talking about, right?
That's amazing. So how did you find it? How did you find the secret
How
doctrine?
I found the secret doctrine. So when I was with all this 5 years of span of Rudolf Steiner and HPB, and I didn't know who HPB was, and all this was happening, I kept meeting people around, and then I kept getting the meetups was active at that point. Meetups is sort of sold out now, the app. So I think I joined the Rudolf Steiner spiritual group. I also joined the Theosophy one, which is closed now, I think, for some reason. Anyway, so then they invited me to some of these talks, and I went, and I'm like, something is not. This is not. I want to know something else. And then HPB, and I was like, what is it? Like something is there, and I knew that something is there. It's just that finding that. So from Rudolf Steiner's, writings, one
Anthroposophy, for those of you who are just watching, he started off in Theosophy. Anthroposophy is the founding of the Steiner schools. So if you want to look up more about Rudolf Steiner, who she's talking about, I just want to throw that out there to explain. And HPB stands for Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, who wrote down a majority of these texts back at the end of the 19th century. I'm sorry, go ahead.
She was also somebody who Rudolf Steiner was highly influenced by. So I think it was a natural progression for people who I don't know, I can't generalize it because I'm not very generalizable kind of experiences I've had.
I understand.
But I think, so that is where from one of Rudolf Steiner's work or some quote, I ended up on Secret Doctrine on Google.
Really? And did you buy a hard copy of the text?
So I was looking through this, and Amazon sells all these weird copies, like some are like written by some people.
Yes,
like,
careful. Yeah.
It's not something that and I mean, I know every individual they are attuned to certain senses, right?
Yes.
Not everyone has got all the senses. Like, so my sense of hearing is more something that I'm in line with. So I hear. So when I say I hear things, not like that film, The Sixth Sense, like I see things, not that. But I really hear things, right? So like an inner voice, I call it, but it's something that tells you that this is not what you want or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh, I have the secret doctrine. Now I have to, because it's like a thesis. The minute I look at it, it's like a thesis she has done, right? So I have to give it that respect and everything. And then I thought, okay, let me get on the diploma course because, maybe things are a little easy before they go on to explaining this. And in the diploma course, like so far, whatever we have read, Eric is a teacher.
Yes, Eric McGough. I believe I'm saying that correctly. I always want to say McGough, but it's McGough. He's amazing. I'm glad that you're on that course and that you're able to learn. They do cover the cosmogenesis, anthropogenesis, all of these beautiful things that just every time I would learn something else, I wanted to know more. Now, I do want to say, if you're just listening to this, you don't have to be intellectually anything, but what you can hear Tap say is the experience that you have through the application of these teachings, and in anybody can understand.
And also like very simple. Yeah, sorry to
No, this is your interview. I want you to speak, please.
So it's also like you don't really have to have like major, because I believe that experiences also depend on the reason for why you have a body, right? So if your reasons of having a body is not to experience these things or be in that plane of spirituality, you will not have these experiences. They will sound like completely off track for you, and you'll be put off by them. You'll be like, oh, I just want to go make my money, have my family, and just run my materialistic things really properly. And that's fine as well, because there's an imbalance. A balance is achieved in the universe with these imbalances. Some of us have to work in both planes. Planes, and some don't, which is fine. But I think even like little things like how you deal with your day-to-day problems in life, because suffering is for everybody, right? So how you deal with it, and does it really throw you apart? Is it something that you feel, and is it something, it's a pattern? So if you observe your own life, and you see the patterns emerging, the patterns will keep emerging unless you learn your lesson and you become that, right?
Yes, become it. Yes, well said.
So you have to, it's not all, it's some people say, oh, I have learned my lesson, after failing like 10 tests, they are like, oh, I have learned my lesson. But that is not enough. You need to become that. And once you become that, that pattern will stop occurring, right? And that is how you also sort of gain experiences. And those will lead you into questioning or that curiosity as to what is it higher than this,
Yes.
and why is it happening to me? Why is it not happening? And some people ask these questions, and because it's happening to you because you have not learned your lesson, you have not become that lesson.
That's true. And so if you're watching and you're struggling and you're going through something, what we're talking about are these ancient teachings called Theosophy. They are the ancient wisdom, the ancient knowledge, and it is based on science and spirituality and philosophy. These have belonged to mankind since the beginning of time. I wanted to get to a couple questions. There's a couple people that have come in. Hi, Kirk. Kirk is a regular listener and viewer. Sorry, I'm used to radio. Viewer. Welcome, Kirk. Yes, and then Kashuk says, like physics leads to metaphysics. Yes, and there's 16 of you watching. Well done, thank you. Again, if you want to comment, these comments will disappear after the video has been processed, but please do comment in the comment section, and I will include a link so you can contact TAPS as well. And there's so much I want to talk about with you because of the way that your mind works, the way that you're able to explain these teachings from your understanding and through your own journey. That's what is so amazing. A lot of people come with the answers. You're coming with questions about how to make them work for each individual. They are for everybody. How would you explain Theosophy to your family and friends when they say, oh, okay, she's taking this stuff, she's really crazy about this book? Because I know I get it all the time. Yeah, people are like, what is that? What is that, like a new thing? And I'm like, no, it's as old as time itself. How do you explain this to your friends and family? What is Theosophy when they ask why you're so excited?
Yeah, I think first of all, I'm not that friendly to people, so most people are scared to even ask me this question. But
oh my God, that's so funny. They're scared to ask you the question.
Yeah, I keep them up. Like I pretend to be like, okay, you know what, and then they are put off. They are like, oh my God, let's not ask her anything. So that
bless your heart. Okay, yeah.
I have that working. So I can section that bit of the world out, which sort of the ones who get an access to me and who feel comfortable talking to me about Theosophy is pretty much, I say to them, look, you don't have to go outside of you in search of somebody to explain your problems or how to solve your problems or how to make your life better. You have the answers within you. If you have come with this body, there is no another person like you, right? I mean, you are unique because you have this body. There must be a reason you're here. If there was no reason, you would have been taken off from the planet. You would have died and you would have gone. But just because you're here, there's a reason. So work towards that reason. Spend more time in analyzing, or even like with yourself, to sort of understand what is it that you like, where does your heart lie, right? Do you really feel like doing yoga like 20 times a day? Do it, right? Who knows? Maybe that is what's going to open up something for you, which is why you're here. So nobody knows why somebody is here, right? Like I can't say like why you are here or why I'm here, and I can only say it for myself from my experiences, or somebody else can for his or her own experience. So figure it out. And then you have all these texts, right? Like Theosophy, you have these help around which you read, but you don't read them to sort of just like repeat them as a parrot. You read them, you become them, right? You have to understand what is the essence of it, and can you apply it? Can you really be that teaching? Because if you are that teaching, then someone else is going to benefit from you. And that is how we create this network of love and connection around, because there's no point in just reading and just being like, okay, I have read it, so what?
Yes, and I find it so refreshing. It is like a breath of fresh air because you are explaining it with your scientific and your mathematical mind. You're explaining it very clearly. As we talk about becoming these teachings, the place that the application happens is not, you're not going to be able to go somewhere and have somebody dole these out to you. They cannot be given to you. They can be earned from within. And Theosophy is for everybody. It is like I said, it is ancient and it belongs to all of us, and everyone can do this. Everyone can do this. And it is, I have found that it has improved my life. What are the changes that have taken place with you personally by taking these lessons and applying them? What are some of the benefits of the application of Theosophy that you've
I think the
experienced?
biggest benefit that it has given me is the fact that earlier on I was like still hoping that, oh, maybe, that little worry, oh, will it, is it going to, and that has been taken off completely. So now I'm totally like, okay, whatever.
Wait, you
So
mean maybe this isn't it? Is that kind of a maybe, or?
yeah, like for example, like with Thi, right, when I started it, I was like, oh, I am a person, like I'm a statistician, right? Now, like, how many statisticians actually go on camera, right? The only cameras you face are, are the camera on the Zoom meetings, right? So I was very skeptical. Even in my earlier Zoom meetings, I would just keep my camera off, and people were, they're office people, it's fine. And then when I started Thi, I watched and I was like, oh my God, is this even going to work? And then Theosophy, if this was like before I started reading Theosophy, it was before that, I would be really skeptical about showing my face and having these videos. Right?
Really?
Yeah, I would be. And I would have that doubt. Oh my God, are people going to judge me? Oh my God, what are they going to think about me? Are they going to say this? Because, people are people, right? It's going to come your way either way, whatever you do. You can't take that off. And then to let that affect you, knowing that it's got, and then I was like, well, look, I'm just doing it for a reason, for a purpose. This voice is telling me to do it. I'm just going to follow it like an obedient student, right? And that is where, like, the biggest change that Theosophy is like, don't judge, be in that neutral space, right? Because things will happen. Some will have a positive impact, some will have a negative impact, some will sort of teach you something that you probably haven't learned or you haven't become. Like love, for example, right? We say, you have to love people, like, but there are certain people that you can't love. No matter what you do, you would want to love them, but there is something about the energy, about the vibration that drains you, where you just want to love them from a distance.
Love them from a distance. That's very well said. Very well said. You do have to have healthy boundaries. Otherwise it goes into codependence and self-destruction. So.
And that is something that Theosophy teaches you, and it pushes you into, like, making yourself, like, preserve yourself, elevate yourself, become that container, that is not really hampered by the winds and the storms and the COVID-19 and this and that and whatever imbalances. Because the more the more strong you are from your heart, the more you have love inside you, the only thing you can give out is love. And the only thing that you will get in return is two things: you'll get grace and you will get love as well. So it's not that, so these are the things that I'm sort of like more relaxed now. So it's made me more relaxed, more like a carefree person, as people would say it. Like, you don't even care. You're not bothered. You're not bothered when this lockdown is going to, end. I'm like, no, I'm pretty happy.
Do you find acceptance? Do you find more calm, peace, and acceptance in seeing the bigger picture? If we can understand that it isn't just this body that's separate from all the other bodies, but if we can kind of like pull back and see a much bigger picture, that this is just a day, this life is just a day. We're here to learn, and we're here to overcome ourselves. And I find that the fact that you are not on camera and doing so well on camera, that's not normally your thing. And this is super out of your comfort zone. And I understand about that voice that says, get to work. And you're like, yeah, okay, I guess we'll do that. And so you're doing that.
And the
so
fact, and the thing is, with Theosophy, it's very much like, that as long as you work for the purpose that you're here for, and you are just honest and true to that and serve humanity, nothing else matters in your life, and everything else is going to take care of its own. You will be surrounded by people who are willing to help you. You will get that help that you need in order to serve humanity. So that is a trust that it's a blind trust and a blind faith. But once you get in that zone, that's the only push that's going to take you away from, that's going to get your work done. And the day your work is done, you're going to leave this life anyway. So
I understand. And I do get, though, from many I want to say many others, perhaps it is just human nature, that this desire to help, to serve, to wish to serve humanity is not as common as I would like. Is that true? Do you find that other people going, serve humanity, you know, I just need to have a mortgage and a house and kids and then I'm out of here. Do you notice that?
Yeah, a lot. And I have a problem. I've always had this problem. I think my mother has heard it more than anyone. My problem on this, that why is this not mainstream? This should be
Yes, yes, yes.
somebody buying a new house and a new car and getting a bigger house and a bigger car is not mainstream news.
Yeah.
Somebody elevating themselves and helping humanity and stepping out of their comfort zones to work is mainstream news. But I don't know why it never gets there.
You know what? Well, you're doing it with your show, The Extra of the Ordinary, by coming on this show and sharing from your heart. I mean, like, again, you say this is not something you normally would do, but you realize it needs to be done. You feel that thumping in your chest to share these teachings with others. Whoever comes across this video, you are not here by accident. I remember when we discovered these teachings, there was something that just said, bam, you're home. That's, I'm always think of you when I describe it that way, because I've never used that word, but that's what it feels like. I'm just like, where has this been? Forever. I have been looking and I haven't found it in the churches, and I have not found it, but I do find it here, and it keeps on giving. And the more you apply, the more you study, the more that you become, and the more you understand how very little you actually know, if that makes any sense.
That's true.
I was going to ask your very first experience with the Theosophical teachings, the very first one you mentioned was you went straight for the secret doctrine, correct? Is that what you actually went and bought? That's pretty amazing. Okay. You mentioned, well, your favorite Theosophical text. What do you have by the side of your bed? What kind of teachings do you go, okay, this is my go-to? Because some of these I will read and reread, and new information comes out of them each time because my understanding and my situation is different. What are your favorite Theosophical texts?
I don't have a text by my book, by my bedside, because when I sleep like, like a queen on my bed, and like I don't have anything around my bed.
Good.
I sleep like that. But here is the thing though, when I go to bed, I always I'm like a person who asks, I love an asking. I believe if I ask with all my heart and soul, I'm going to get the answer. That's a belief I have, right? So I ask for signs. I ask for them to tell me that if I'm right, am I doing it right? Did I make a mistake? Give me a sign. What do I need to do next, right? So it's pretty much like I base my day-to-day activity also on the fact that I have to be guided. Now, this guidance, where it comes from, I don't know. But so far, I have been getting this guidance. So this is the guidance that I seek when I go to bed. And this guidance, it comes in different forms. Like in Theosophy, because I was coming to the show today. So this whole week, in bits and pieces, I have had this thing about as above, so below. That's intense, and that kept like coming and coming, and I'm like, why are you telling me that? I know it. And it's like, no, knowing it is different, but experiencing. And I have a very funny experience of as above, so below, because I got really scared about it the first time. And also some of these experiences, they throw you, because you don't read about them in the main right? So you don't know if it's right or not right, and why is it? And because it's not happening to the other 10 people that so you're pretty much like, am I really like that? So this text kept appearing, and I was like, I know what it means. so things like that. So not in particular I have a text that I really go to, but I know that this help, this theosophical help, the blanket, is something that I sleep with, because I know that if I'm supposed to work on something, I will be guided by it. If I'm doing something wrong, I will be told that stop, or it will not happen, so I don't have to make that much effort onto it.
When you ask for help, when you trust and you ask for signs, am I crazy? Am I doing this right? Is this the right thing? Do you mind explaining some of the things that come through to validate your questions or invalidate them?
A very funny example. So there was this one time that I had And there are these signs like how they work or things. So there's a very funny example. So I was looking for a flat to rent out in London, and that was the time that I would travel on train from Surrey to London to work, and I would keep looking for flat, and the timing was short and I had to move and everything. And every day I would get on and I would be like, oh my God, why am I not finding something? And I would find all crazy things, but I don't want to move. And every day I would get on the train from Surrey and I would have people somehow searching for apartments or flats on their phone. And you would stand if you don't get a space to sit, but you would see the majority would be searching, right? So it felt to me that the universe is searching for me, along with me, right? And I trusted that. And within a week, I found this flat and I was like, oh, I want to rent it. Like, I want to take it. And there were like 3 other people and this and that, but I just knew I wanted, and I knew that it's going to happen, and it happened. So that
Do you use this in your daily life, where this amazing trust in a bigger picture and the guidance? A lot of us go, oh, I'm crazy, it's my imagination. There is power in thought. Theosophy talks about the power of thought and the balance of thought, about what we think and the emotions behind them. All of this stuff that you see in The Secret and all the New Age jargon, this is all coming from these teachings, but they are not in their entirety. If you want to find the teachings, even they say, even those who wrote this down, HPB said, this is not all of it, but this is all that humanity can handle at this particular time. And this is written down 130 years ago. And if you do want a copy, I'll see if I can put a link to an original PDF so you can see the original text, because it has been messed with. There have been Theosophists that have come in and added a 3rd volume and changed some words around, like anybody does with the sacred text. But you have such a beautiful way of experience, and with your logical mind, it might be seen as, woo-woo. Some people would go, oh, that's woo-woo,
It's all consciousness, right? It's all consciousness. It's the same net, right? That works, right?
Yes.
As above, as below, the same net is working. Now, it's like, it's up to you how you tap into it and what point you're tapping into it, to either sort of give yourself that assurance in this body, or to bring it, to get some sort of love or some sort of an acceptance, or make yourself better, So it's like how you want to use it. And I use it to the maximum capacity. I'm probably the only one who abuses it to that extent.
Would you say that you abuse it? Do you think what you use by using it too much? I think it's inspiring that you use it the way you do. Do you use it at work? Because if you're using this guidance to trust these, they talk about the hierarchy of beings.
I trust completely. I trust this one, I come from this feeling that I'm going to trust. So if things are not for me, I'm going to be told, right? So I'll hear it. I'll believe that. But if it is for me, if it has come to me, even if I like it, we all have ego. Ego doesn't go, you have a body, you'll have your ego. So you have your positive mind, you have your negative mind, you have your ego. And it's like, oh, no, this work is not for you. But I would sort of wait, because I would trust that if it has come to me, there must be a reason. And if it has to work, it will work. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I don't even want to, I don't really go on to understanding like why it doesn't work, because that's the pattern I don't follow. I follow the pattern of positivity. Like it has not worked. What has not worked is not me. What has worked, what do I learn? What do I become? How do I move on? Because obviously that work is not me also, so I have to keep moving.
I love that. But you find, though, this was what you came in with, this way of operating. A lot of people are still stuck in the I, me, my, and just this one particular lifetime. And then after death, there's nothing but oblivion. And there's nothing more. Why would I want to work on myself when it doesn't matter anyway? All these religions are all crap. But it, like HPB talks about, the fundamental, the white ray underneath the 7 colors of the rainbow. The white ray is Theosophy. The rainbow colors are these religions. This is the like an omnist. An omnist says that there's some truth in all of the religions, but not one of the religions has all of the truth. And in the Theosophical teachings, it says there's no religion higher than truth. So if you want to know where all this stuff came from, the avatars, as they come and speak and they talk about peace and love and unity and the power of thought and the kingdom of heaven is within you, it is in these teachings. The way that you're looking at it is such a unique and refreshing way, though, Taps. It truly is. The way that you trust that inner voice rather than questioning your sanity, that you just go, it's not for me, is brilliant.
I've been through the Institute of Psychiatry. I worked there for a while. So I know that it's not mental disease that I have.
Did you ever question whether you were, when these things...
I probably did at some point. I was like, because it's not happening to the other people like I'm sitting and dining with, you know what I mean? If I say like, we're going to trust this, people are like, why? Do you have evidence? And you are a scientist, you're a statistician. How can you even say this, right? And then but my statistical work is also to do with people and their opinion and the fact that they're connected and how their behavior sort of, predict things. So everything that I do is very much like connected with people, defending people to make them better at work and in what they do. And also at some point it's also about, well, look, we are all connected. There's all self-independence. It's like a thing in our head. We want to be independent, but we are not. So, and mathematically as well, we are not. We are very connected. So there's a dependency structure amongst human beings. So my PhD was on that. So, I sort of moved around things. So I'm like, pretty much I trust it. So, yeah.
The mathematical mind in you, as you speak about, we are all connected, and as above, so below. This is an ancient axiom that we are the universe in miniature, like cells in a much larger universe. We are connected. We are not separate. So in your mathematical mind, to explain to those who are going to be popping on that come from that place, instead of just the new age kind of a curious Glastonbury goddess mindset, you're coming from a very logical frame of mind. How would you describe? Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
I have a proof. I have two, because my thesis was on this, right? So I really know even the opinions that people give, right? Like people feel, oh, I'm independent, so I'm giving you my opinion. And then someone else feels, I'm independent, I'm giving you my independent opinion, independent thought. You look through the data, you can really mathematically build the dependency structure.
That's amazing. See, the way that you're looking at, I have never spoken with a theosophist like this. I mean, I had, Gary was extremely knowledgeable last week. The way he knew about the astronomy, unbelievable. He's got a degree in metaphysics. But when these scientists come on and they go, I'm here in Theosophy because this is where not only is it at, but this is what it is. This is what I've been looking for. And this is by what you say, proof. So instead of belief of my parents told me so, so I hope that they're right, you're actually going and running it through your mind and your body and your spirit, and you're putting it into application. And you are now, as a mathematician, coming up with an equation that has a solution, and you're using that same mind. I find that mind blowing and extremely refreshing because it's
like when you were, I think it was you were mentioning the voice of the silence.
Yes.
So I was pretty much like, oh, the voice of the silence. And because she HPV wrote like it's dedicated to few, and I was like, maybe I should go over this text and find a mathematical proof for it at some point. And then I was like, and that was a thought that occurred, and then I just then I got busy or I got lazy or whatever, so I didn't really go there. But like things that I read even within the Secret Doctor, why am I so fascinated by it is also because it just provides the math is something I have done. I have got my thesis, I've got my degree, right? And to see it being explained in a different way, in a way where I live and I trust, it's just like, it feels like it's all adding up. And it's like, that's why I also call it home. So it's like that.
I'm absolutely blown away on all of my experience and all of the Theosophists that I've met. I've never met anyone really with such a PhD in math and statistics, and looking at this without the airy-fairy kind of oh, you believe in ghosts? How cute. Or the astral world. Oh, that's interesting. Or a life on other planets. Oh, well, look at you. There's a very logical, refreshing kind of a an actual, where the rubber meets the road with you, because you are a mathematician, and our science, we are math. Is this whole thing is math? What we're looking at.
That we have, and we all, like, regardless of where we are, what race, what color, whatever we are, right, what gender we are, we all have a dependency structure. And at some point in life, like about, I think 4-5, I think before the time when I sort of got into this Steiner HPB sort of a phase, that was also the time where I was thinking about writing building a network model of pain across humanity, because I thought pain connects people more as opposed to
It does. Yes. Well, that's true.
Like, it can be built. So I had this idea that I'm going to, but that's also a lot of work. And then I have a day job, and I was like, okay, I sort of put it at the back burner. But like all these things, they are absolutely analytically, mathematically correct. So these planes that are there, that they talk about, the astral plane and this plane and stuff, there is a dependency across them. You experience the dependency, and nobody has ever sort of provided a proof of, like, what is connected to what, like how is it connected. Nobody has drawn it out, but people have experienced it. Now, if you take that experience of people, right, and you put it and you explain it with a statistical model, you have your mathematical proof of it. So it's
I don't know what to say. This is fantastic. You're absolutely in the right place. And boy, I think Theosophy needs you. I mean, I think that what you're able to give and bring to the table is far more refreshing and I know I've used the word refreshing quite a bit, because it is a completely different, it is a scientific mathematical brain talking about the origin of the universe, the origin of man. You're talking about as above, so below. We always hear that, we've heard that through the millennia, as above, so below. But you said you understood that early on. You understood as above, so below. And so for those of you who are watching, I'm sorry?
You experience it as above, so below. You experience it as an observer in other people. You also experience it within yourself, and then that there is a mathematical underlying beautiful proof to prove that it's like complementary, right? So 1 minus this is going to be the same thing. So it's like it's all adding up to 1 at the very end of it. So nobody can take that equation out. That came from the very beginning. So what are we all talking about? It's like we are all contributing to the one in different ways, and we talk of all this intelligence of making it artificial and this and that. There is so much potential in human intelligence. Let's build humans first. Let's build that, and then we talk about different things.
Hold that thought. I just got a comment here. I'm just absolutely fascinated with you. Dependence on signs, won't it lead to misguidance at times? There exists goodness and evil both in the astral plane, and that is true from my understanding. And that is Kaushik is saying dependence on signs won't it lead to misguidance, meaning that, are you sure when you're listening to this inner voice of direction, could it possibly be nefarious? I'm not sure. How would you explain when that you're getting affirmations from outside of your physical self?
Yeah, I mean, you can test it. So you can test it. You put that to test. Whatever you get, you put it to test. If it works, it works. If it's not, if it's just a fake thing, it's going to dissolve itself, right? So test everything. So similarly, when you have a mathematical, analytical approach, test it. It's not just saying that science has provided a proof for something. This is a mathematical equation that's going to really work if it really works, right? So it's not going to be something that you just put things in. And what we are doing here is we are providing, or what my idea is, I haven't done it yet. I shouldn't say what we're doing.
You can say it if you want to. You don't have to feel obligated, but I love your passion. Please, yes.
So the idea is to bring objectivity to subjectivity. So the experiences are subjective, right? And you bring in the subjectivity and you objectify the subjectivity, right? So there is no experiment that you're conducting here like science understands it, right? It is pretty much a human space. You bring in the subjectivity, you bring in the experiences, bring in the expertise of the Theosophists, of the people who are into occultism, and put it together, and then you objectify from it. So it's a very different approach to how science understands it. So it's a little different.
Oh my God, I just can't believe the hour's gone by so fast. There's so much more I wanted to talk about. Oh, there goes the secret doctrine. Hang on one second. Faith without works is dead. Kirk says, faith without works is dead. That's true. Faith is just, you just spending your time, spinning your wheels. You've got to put this into application. You're hearing, we have a scientist, mathematician talking about how when she gets to these teachings, again, this is the secret doctrine. There's 2 volumes. There are 3 out there. Don't pay any attention to that. Go to the original, go get the original verbatim copy. Again, when you read this, if you don't have a PhD in mathematics, it can be overwhelming. It can be, I mean, for many, many people. So that's why I do like to introduce these are a little bit easier to follow. This, at the Light on the Path, Blavatsky says this book, The True Jewel, belongs to and emanates from the same school of Indo-Aryan and Buddhist thought and learning as the teachings in the secret doctrine. It's very tiny. Just begin. If you find that any of this inspires you or touches you, or you go, I want to learn more, just like we found, we don't have all the answers, but we do know that this feels right. It just feels like this is the right path. And so that's what TAPS is doing on here, sharing this amazing way of looking at it. And they talk about in the teachings of Theosophy that it is all math and it is a symphony, it is music. What are your thoughts on the Song of the Spheres, or how, like, the sacred geometry and things like that we're looking at? Everything has basically a scientific explanation that is also a spiritual explanation. Could you expand on that in the tiny few minutes we have left? We only have 4 minutes left. How is that even possible? It's not possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, see, math is something that explains, and the whole discipline of mathematics comes because it has observed the patterns. The pattern, the universe is there, right? And it has these patterns. So it was up to scientists, right, and people who were curious to explain it. And that's how they came up with mathematics as a language to explain it. I believe that there are only 2 ways you can explain things. One is by words, one is with numbers. So it's like either you belong to the world of numbers or you belong to the world of words, and both have their limitations, but you combine them to sort of come up with some sort of an explanation to things which kind of fit in with what you want or expect, and like that. But I believe there are so many other patterns that are there which are unexplained, and math and this thing, it is there. It is for that particular eye or that particular person or the individual who is being sent to do the work. So
Yeah.
you also have to do you have to be assigned to do the work. You just can't go and say, well, I'm interested in math and I'm really good, I've got great grades, and I want to now uncover the pattern. It will not come.
Yeah, I understand.
You have to, so you also have to know why you're here. What's the purpose? Is it something? And if it is for you, it is going to come to you. You have to have that trust. Like how I say I abuse this trust thing with the universe.
I love that you use it that way. It's inspiring. It truly is. I wish, in a way, I want to be able to do that more, because I do question my own sanity sometimes. I go, well, I'm not sure. This is just, I'm so passionate about this, and I want to be able to, know that I'm doing the right thing. And sometimes I'm like, I can't. I guess I have to. Here we go. And these teachings have a way of momentum on their own. As they move forward into this world of mass communication, they are propelling, and I'm just showing up. And I'm like, okay, what are we doing today? Here we go. Okay, I'm a former radio broadcaster. I'm just doing these things, and I'm sharing and voicing them and introducing them so others can take them. You're not going to be learning from me as an individual. I'm just a student of Theosophy. That's it. And I'm very passionate about it. And I want to be able to introduce you to people like Taps, another dedicated student of Theosophy with an incredible mind, who has discernment that she can cross-examine this stuff with a scientific brain and a PhD, and she's still telling you it's home. And that's so.
Do you not decorate? I mean, like, we all decorate our homes, right? Sometimes you want to change that painting, you want to do this. So with Theosophy and with the secret doctorate, I have this beautiful statistical model that I want to add to it, at some point.
Well, I think you're obviously here for a reason. This needs to come into humanity. And the fact that you're coming up with the show, again, The Extra of the Ordinary, I will include a link down below to the Facebook page. Do you have a website that I can link to, or is it just the Facebook page for now? Okay.
So just the Facebook page. We'll get to the website.
Okay. That's you. I mean, you're starting and you're like I said, suiting up and showing up and just sharing these teachings and connecting with other Theosophists. I think a lot of, the old way of doing things, we expect a guru to come down and then there's just one of them and all of us. It's inside all of us and we must work together. It is important that we work together because each one of us has a different way. Like you mentioned, we are all unique, although we are all one. And the mathematical equation that you talked about, it all equals one in the end anyway. There was I know I'm going over time. There was this, I don't know, it was a crop circle where they did a mathematical binary thing. And it was some kind of a really convoluted, I can't remember if it was Euler's theory or something like that, that it was something that says everything is one, it all equals one. And basically that's what we're looking at is everything that this goes from the mineral, plant, animal, human, spiritual kingdom, everything, the universe, the multiverse, ghosts, reincarnation, rebirth, karma, thoughts, you name it, it's in the teachings of Theosophy. So is there anything hang on, let's see here. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you for being here, Karushik. Thank you. I hope I say your name right. Karushik, I hope so. And Kirk, thank you. Isn't she amazing? Yeah, Kirk is saying, very inspiring show. Thank you both. And Kirk, we welcome you. Thank you for your loyalty. He's always here every week and we're grateful for that. If you would like to get a hold of Taps, again, I will put down below as soon as I get into post-production, I'm going to clip off the beginning of this, the weirdness of this show, edit it down a little bit so it's clean, and then I'll have a link to Taps on Facebook. I hope that we get to meet in person someday as we cross paths.
Ever since I've heard that you're just a few meters away from the beach, I'm like, when the lockdown finishes, I'm going to drive to hers.
Well, you should. Well, hopefully we'll have, if we can get the B&B finished, we would love to have you down because we are cross-pollinating and all over the world. What you're doing, what I'm doing here, what the societies are doing, Luke Ironside, all of these people, what we're doing is simply sharing these teachings, inviting you to take them and everybody, just like you digest your own food, we cannot digest your food for you. We are digesting food along with you. But we have found peace. We have found a home. We have found calm. We have found a greater understanding of the bigger picture through these teachings of Theosophy. And there is a sense of acceptance and kind of death is no longer frightening. I mean, there's all kinds of things like the acceptance that you have about the lockdown, the uncertainty, things that used to be frightening are no longer frightening. There's nothing I can say about these except there's no religion higher than truth. This is where it's at. And Taps, what an honor it is to have you.
Thank you.
I don't know what to say. Just thank you so, so much for coming out of your comfort zone and showing up. And I can't believe that you don't have the experience that you say you don't have, because you are an amazing interviewer and you're an incredible interviewee. And this will be up on the Living Theosophy channel. I'm going to share it out on all the platforms because you have something very unique to offer people rather than the airy-fairy woo-woo crowd, which is very common in the Theosophical circles or has been for the last 100 years. It's kind of the new age thing. It's dismissed as not scientific, not mathematical, mathematic. It is seen as, oh, ghosts or, oh, karma, reincarnation. But you're coming in with a PhD in mathematics and you're saying, this is home.
I have a certificate to prove, like, look, I've done it, so I know it.
Yeah, that makes to me, that makes a difference because as a scientist, like metaphysics last week, this is what we're talking about. This is not something that you don't have to have a PhD in mathematics, but if you want to understand the meaning of life, why, who, where, how, and what we are as human beings and where we're going and what we can do to make this world a better place and to ease the unnecessary suffering of all beings. You mentioned that. You talked about the suffering. That's an absolute. And that you want to love and it is and to be of service. You mentioned in your bio that you say until the end of days you will be of service to humanity.
I mean, I even have this thing like somebody joked the other day and said, well, you know what, you would probably end up in your grave with your laptop doing the model and you would sort of like that's the best way to die, right? Like working and then dying and leave the world with an equation that they have to solve.
Well, no, we want you to help solve some of it and also share the way that you look at this, share the way that you call these teachings home with as many people as possible. What an amazing hour. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you. And I will hopefully see you again. And I'll get this up as soon as I can, everybody. Thank you so much. Did I miss anybody? Thank you, you guys. 17 of you live. Those are healthy numbers. This is not a huge, I'm not looking for a big audience. The main thing is if you're meant to see this, you'll see this. If you want to know more, there are links to free books to Light on the Path. The Key to Theosophy studies are on this channel as well. It's voiced on here. Just start somewhere. Theosophy. And thank you so much, Taps. Have a wonderful evening. You are such a treasure. I hope to see you soon in person. And we're going to keep an eye on D as well. It's DHI, pronounced with a soft D, which means wisdom or intellect, correct, in Sanskrit? Yes?
That's right.
The extra of the ordinary will be back on next week.
Yeah, back on next week.
Okay, back on next week. We'll keep an eye. Thank you, sweetheart. Have a fantastic evening. All the love in the world to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, honey. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody. Thank you. See you next week. Oh, wait, I haven't even, I'll have to promote it next week because I didn't bring my notes in with me. Okay. Bye, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.